Divinely guided messages for healing of the mind, the body, and the soul. Welcome. Today's message is going to be about boundaries. And boundaries are so important. It's like if you don't have any boundaries, it's like having an open country with no border. Like anything can come in and anything can happen. And if you, as a person, don't have any boundaries, there is no safety for you. You don't keep yourself safe. I had to learn, like from in regards to boundaries, it's being on this spiritual journey, bettering ourselves, trying to become better versions of ourselves, trying to release all the layers of stuff that we don't need, all the layers of stuff that was always unnecessary, or all the layers of lies that was always attached to us, layers and layers of stuff, so that you can come into the core of who you truly are. And this journey is it's not an easy one, but it's a very rewarding. I say it's not easy, it's not always pretty, sometimes it's just very devastating, and it can be very harsh, it can be very tough to go through it. And many times you're going to be alone on it, because most people don't want to go inside, they don't want to go within, and they don't want to face all the resistance from the ego. They don't want to break through it. So here you are, breaking through it. Boundaries, not easy. Life will give you lessons in regards to this. So I have one example from, I had hired a handyman to help me with my home project, to fix it up. And he just came by at any time. He was intrusive, he was intruding, he was a menace to work with. And taking it for granted, he was just trying to run over me, a woman, right, by herself. And so I had to learn, and it was very uncomfortable. I was kind of taking it for granted that he would know to set, like he would know better, right? Common sense, but no. And then I had to learn that not everybody has common sense, or they don't want to use it because they're trying to use you. And so this is where boundaries come in. Boundaries are where you draw the line so you can keep yourself safe. And not only does it keep you safe from people who wants to intrude on you and take your time, your energy, your presence. And so not only does it help from keeping those people out, but also it helps from keeping people safe. Like they feel safe too, because they know where your boundaries are. So they know that if they want to approach you, they don't overstep it, or they don't do too much or too little. And so strategy. If you are going to be on this self discovery journey and finding yourself, finding the core of who you truly are, unraveling all the lies that has been placed upon you, all these roles that we have been assigned to play, all these things that we have been kind of assigned to do. So I found that looking around me, looking at my triggers, looking at what is bothering me, like with boundaries, like the guy, he showed me though many places where I needed to set boundaries. For me, it was very uncomfortable. And also, usually that's when you learn. Most people, we don't want to learn until we get uncomfortable. So, so there you go. So strategy may be like noticing every time when you feel uncomfortable, like when, if people, like, you know how they sometimes they come over and they're going to talk to you and they're right in your zone, and so they're too close and you can't really focus. When people are too close in your intimate zone, you can't really focus. They've overstepped like your energy boundary. And when people do that, it's uncomfortable. And so if I notice that I don't like this is not, so usually what I do, I take a step back, and then sometimes they follow, and there you are. It's just one step back and just as far. And so what do? Like, you have to find the wording and find the phrases and ways to put your boundaries down, because you have the right to stand your ground. And doing this inner work is going to often make us uncomfortable, so that we have to learn how to stand our ground in uncomfortableness. And still, you have to just do it. And just the more you practice, the better we all become better. The more we do stuff, the better we become. So setting boundaries is like The ability to stand your ground whenever you need to, the ability to recognize that your truth is just as valid as other people's truth, and assert yourself appropriately. Your truth is valid just equally as to other people, right? So then you take your power back too. You don't give them more power over you than yourself. And so you keep your strength, you keep your um, safety, and you keep your space, trusting and expecting a positive outcome, having the strength and kindness needed to enable me to stand my ground. So you have to stand your ground. And it's funny that this card came out, this message came out, because that's also the song that I am practicing these days, or recording these days. It's about standing your ground. And sometimes life makes it so uncomfortable that you have no other choice than to just stand your ground. And whenever you need to, you can always do that. And your boundary can just be, I'm standing my ground. And maybe you're also in the process illuminating other people's behavior, like the handyman. Like that was very, very cross and mean behavior of a grown person to do that to a woman who lives by herself. And so it'll also illuminate other people's behaviors and their intentions, because if he had just good intentions, he probably wouldn't have crossed all those boundaries and intruded on like he did. And so that was my lesson. And so I had to set many boundaries and eventually just cut off the whole thing and just find other solutions. And sometimes that's what you got to do too. And so the strategy, like, don't let yourself be caught up in fear just because someone is more, see, they have more experience than you do. Like, don't let them step over your boundaries. You're here, you're trying to better yourself, you're trying to become better, and it's going to be uncomfortable to set the boundaries that you need, but it's also going to be necessary if you don't want to be stuck in your own fear. Because when you are afraid to go out there, if you know your boundaries and you know that I can assert my boundaries, I can set my foot down when I need to, I can do what I need to do, I'm able to go with the flow and adjust into what happens, that's going to build your confidence too, like in a great way. And so you feel capable and you have the experience to understand that you have the right to set your own boundaries. And so standing your ground, being strategic with it, like practice on the people that you know that are close to you, that you know that you can trust them. And then just practice setting it down, setting boundaries. Practice it when you're out about in like simple ways, like finding where your comfort is. Like when you're around people, where do you feel comfortable? What is too close? Where can you find the space? And just find ways, like, I feel uncomfortable when you stand this close to me. Could you please take a step back? Because otherwise I can't focus on the conversation. Or however you want to say, I want to hear what you have to say, but I can't really hear it because you're standing too close and it distracts me. So there are different ways that we can say things to people. And also, like, creating our own reality. With being a strong soul here on planet Earth, you have every right to live your life in the way that you want to live it. And other people are going to come in and say that this is how we think you should live your life. And if you do make choices that are different than other people's choices, then also you are kind of stepping over their boundaries, in a way, their comfort zone. And so now they're going to come at you and say that you may be doing it wrong because you have your own space. But this is all about the transformation, because if you see also like what has been in the society, it doesn't work that well. Like, people aren't that awakened yet. And so you are here, you are on your soul's mission and your soul's journey. So you want to figure out how you can feel safe and sound when you go out there and you interact with the world around you. And it's nothing wrong with it. Setting boundaries is necessary in every way. Like growing up, I hadn't, there was nobody told me that I had the right to say no. I had no boundaries. They didn't teach me that. And they could take whatever from my body, my mind, my soul, everything. And so coming out then into the big world was a disaster. And so me thinking there was something wrong with me because I ended up in all kinds of situations that weren't good, and they weren't good for me at all. And so I was thinking it was my fault. But then I realized way later on that it was like no boundaries. You have to be able to set boundaries. If you're not able to set boundaries, you are going to have a very chaotic life. And I'm speaking from experience. And so it's very, very important. Boundaries might be the one thing that is really necessary. Also, if you come into the world with your own belief, or you have your own way of seeing things, you have your own way of working in faith, walking in faith and working in faith and doing your job here on this planet as a soul, then sometimes you have to set boundaries from other people too, who think that they know better. Because who really knows? We don't really know. So who really knows? The soul's journey is an interesting one, and setting your, making your space, creating your space where you can function nicely is going to be it's beneficiary for your mind. You don't have to worry so much. It's not going to be so fearful to be around people. It's good for your spirit. You know that you can take the space and set it up the way you need to for whatever mission you have here on planet Earth, whatever your expression is here on planet Earth, and however you are trying to reach people or teach people, or however you are trying to find your way on this planet with purpose. And for the body, it's going to be like no boundaries creates also a lot of stress on the body. And so being a person who can stand your ground when you need to is going to be essential for your confidence. It's essential for how you feel. It's essential for what kind of space you are going to be able to take up out in the world. And so looking at our life and seeing, where do I feel uncomfortable? How can I put up better boundaries there? How could I make it easier for me to be out and about with people, or how to integrate my own self with my boundaries into the world around me without giving too much or giving up too much of who you are. Transformation, working with like your higher self. Your personality creates your personal reality. So however, if you don't have any boundaries, you're going to invite everything. Like no boundaries, then everything is going to come over the border, right? So you have to find where you can place the boundaries, your personality. And then if you have no boundaries, that's part of your personality, right? So you have no boundaries, it's going to create your personal reality. Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks a lot about this. I love him. I love his meditations. I do them a lot. And I find that his energy center meditations are very helpful in creating inner sense of center, my inner sense of center and being, and then allowing from the inner center to be a part of the bigger whole. So for me, his meditations is also a great practice if you want to practice boundaries, to get familiarized with yourself on the inside first and see like, where are your energy centers in your body? Do you have any blockages? Anything that would be helpful for you to release it? And so Dr. Joe Dispenza, like if you change your personality, then you will also change your personal reality. So you can see outside in your life, is it organized and it functions well? You're happy with it, it works well? Or is it chaotic? Is it like a little uncomfortable, chaotic, and you don't really have any control over it? We can't control other people, but you can control where you set your boundaries. And so going within with Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditation is very helpful because it'll allow you to close your eyes, be present in the center of your being, and then also like to be aware of the space around you. So I would highly recommend that in regards to boundaries, to go through some of his meditations and check them out. Blessings of the Energy Centers, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is really, really great. When you find better boundaries, or you set better boundaries for yourself, you're also going to be able to take on greater responsibility in your life. Like you find your center, you find your safety around you, and now you can take that into a greater responsibility, and you can like bring it outwards to the world around you and be of service, which is also a part of the job here as souls on planet Earth. If you want to be if you want to work for the Most High and you want to make it a better place to be, and you want to be an example of that and be a tool for the Most High to use it here on planet Earth, then a greater responsibility is going to be part of it. So finding your inner center and your inner strength is going to be essential also for the job that you have to do out there, or that you want to do out there, and it needs to be done out there. So never feel like it's selfish to go within. It's not selfish. I was scared to set boundaries at first. I had never learned how to do that. And so it was scary. It was, I felt like I was being mean to people. I felt like I was doing something wrong, and I felt like it just felt really, really weird to set boundaries. And so the more you do it, of course, the better it's going to become. So, and never feel selfish for doing this kind of work. Sometimes people will say, oh, you're selfish, you're just focusing on yourself, and you're just doing this. But if you're going to be able to go out there and be a voice that people can hear it, or a person that has gone through meaningful changes that can also impact the people around, then you have to be selfish for a little while. And if that's what they want to call it, fine. It is not selfish. To find your core, to find out who you are, to do this inner work is the best thing that you can do on this planet, for the planet and for yourself and for everything. The transformation is real. And once the transformation is real and you're doing the work, now you can be feeling safe within yourself, and you can go out there and have that safety around you, because you know that you are capable of setting your boundaries. You know where you draw the line, and you know that it's always okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain anything. No is a complete sentence. And so, and then you can be ready for your greater responsibility here on planet Earth. But it starts within us. So if you want to make a difference, you have to make a change within yourself at first. And then you bring that out into the world, and you're going to have fun with it. It might not always be easy. It might not always be pretty, but it's necessary. The world needs more of it. And the beautiful light in me, it honors, it loves, and it respects the same beautiful light in you. And until next time, namaste.